Now, in other classes, we've looked at sets, and we're going to talk about sets inside of Java. However, there's a couple things you have to realize about sets in Java. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that there are actually two different types of sets. So the first thing we're going to look at is the unsorted set, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. In our next video, we're going to talk about sorted sets and how they are similar and different. So let's just do a quick review of what a set is. Remember, a set has a set of data and it is not repeated. So there's no two elements that are exactly the same inside of a set. That's kind of the mathematical definition. Also, inside of math, your sets are unsorted. And so that's a kind of a key thing that you want to keep in mind. However, in Java, you can have, like I said, the sorted and the unsorted. So let's look at the unsorted set. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to specify set, and this is going to be of type product. Remember, product is something that we created earlier. It's a user-defined class. It's very, very simple, has two properties. But the nice thing is you can create sets of any type of data. So one of the things that's real important to remember is that sets are actually not a class. They're an interface. Using the polymorphic nature that Java gives us, we can implement this type of interface from a different type of set. So let's take a quick look at this. We're going to call this products equals new hash set. And inside of the hash set, we're a generic, so we're going to have to specify product here as well. If we want to add a product, I can simply say products.add, and then I have to give it a product. So I'm going to say new product generic 1, that's the product name, and then I'm going to give it a price, $13.13. I'm going to copy this and create just a couple quick copies. And then if I come here and say system.out.println products, and you can see what's going to happen when we run this. You can see that these are not in order, so it shows product 4 first. Then 1, 2, 3, you notice they're not in alphabetical order, they're not sorted by price. It's just however order it was necessary to create this. So far, this has been really similar to adding like a linked list or adding to a vector or something like that, with the exception that things are not in an order. So what are we going to be looking at doing? How can we kind of double up on this? Well, remember that sets don't allow duplicates. So I'm going to come in here and duplicate just this generic 2. So notice I have 2. We're going to add them right next to each other. And a lot of people think, oh, this is going to keep a second product from being added. However, this is one of the issues we're going to run into with sets. Come in and run this. Notice that generic 2 is listed twice. You know, wait a second, how come that was? Sets are supposed to not allow duplicates. Well, by default, key word there, by default, Java sees this as two separate objects because we created the same object twice. Okay, so that's how come it's allowing that duplicate, is because we created two separate products. They're in two different sections of memory. They don't realize that they're equal. So let's change this up just a little bit. I just want to show you how this is going to be different. We're going to come here and say product and then I'm going to add product, and the same thing I'm going to do when I have the generic product 2. I'm going to add product again. So here I'm adding the exact same reference. So I create an element, I'm adding it twice. So I don't have two products that are exactly the same. I'm actually using the same element. Come down here and clear my screen, run this one more time, and notice that generic 2 is only listed the one time. So this is just a real quick, simple example of how this would work. Now, obviously, this is very simplified because using a set for this is kind of weak. We really want to be looking at how can we look at data and find differences between two sets or join two sets together without having duplicates and things like that. So let me copy in some quick information. First, I'm going to get rid of all my product info. Next, notice that I have copied in two different sets. We created them the exact same way. Slight difference being that they're integers instead of products, so minor difference there. Notice, however, in set 1, I have gone in and I create the set, and then I use an add all method. So instead of adding one element at a time, I can add a collection of elements. And so I said arrays.asList. This is going to return a linked list. It's going to be part of that collection. And then I create an array of integers from there. This way, I have an array. It gets converted to a list. It can then be added to the set, and I can do it all in one block. Likewise, with a set, I can create from an existing set. And so I have set 2, and I've created a different set of values. Notice that my second set is not in order. In both cases, I have some duplicates, and when I create that set, it's going to take those duplicates out. Also, once again, just because I have an order associated with the insertion of my elements does not mean that my set is going to retain that order. So it may not. It's up to however Java is going to internally store that. So let's look at what can we do with this set. Well, one thing I can do is I can create a union. So I'm going to say set integer. I'm going to call this union equals new hash set. And then I'm going to pass set 1 into this. So now set 1 is also equal to the value of the union. The union is completely separate, however. Then I'm going to come over here and say union dot add all, just like I did before, but now I'm going to specify set 2. You notice that there are a couple of duplicate values between set 2 and set 1. So I'm going to come over here and say system.out.print. And I'm going to do print instead of print L. Notice I'm doing print. That's going to keep it all on the same line. Print line is going to create an inline at the end. So if I run this, you can see I have no duplicate values. Neither the 8s are duplicated from set 1 because that set removed them. And the 4 and the 6, which are in both set 1 and set 2, have been removed. So anytime there's a duplicate, whether it's in the original initialization of the set or from when the two sets are come together, those duplicates have been removed. However, all of that information has been joined into one large set. And that's kind of a big difference there. Okay, so that's the union. That's a very common thing. We want to join all the elements between two sets. If I want to have a third set to union or fourth set to union, then I just say union.addAll set 3, set 4, set 5, however many sets. The next and most common thing we're going to see is an intersection. So we're going to specify intersection dot retain all, and retain all is going to be used to create the intersection. It's only looking for where values occur in both one set and the second. So we're going to say retain all, and then we're going to say set 2. We're going to clear the screen just so it's a little bit easier to see, and then run this. And you can see that only the elements 4 and 6 were the intersections. That's the only two that were both used. And that's what retain all does. It retains all the duplicate values. Now, it only keeps them, it doesn't duplicate them. Remember, set rules. Finally, the other one we want to look at is difference. That is, what elements are in the first set that are not in my second set. In this case, I'm going to specify difference dot remove all. And remove all, compared to remove just is going to remove one element. Remove all is going to remove every element that is not in the second set. Run this one more time, and you can see the difference. So it removed, if I look at my set 1, I see I have elements 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. My second set also had 4 and 6, and so it removed those and only kept the unique elements for my first set. That's what the difference is. And so it's a very simple way. So it does not give you commands like union, intersection, difference, etc. However, those functions and features are there within inside of the hash set. And so that's a real good example of working with, very simply, sets inside of Java. Next video we're going to look at is going to be sorted sets, and that's going to keep it in a specific type of order. So we're going to see how to do that in just a minute.